This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen The Village Detective, a song cycle, a documentary from Bill Morrison made back in 2021. It's interesting in its construction by covering a good amount of ground, framed primarily around reels of a movie found preserved underwater for several decades. While the film itself, a Soviet comedy from 1969, was not a revolutionary find, its existence is, in its own way, important, with this film detailing the life of Soviet film star Mikhail Zarov, as well as a brief history of Soviet film, and most especially the idea of preservation, what we may choose to save or what we might accidentally preserve, and how what we let live comes to define who we are in the future. Or, well, something like that anyways. There's more back and forth between Zarov's biography and showcasing the decayed footage from the sea, with the discussion of preservation being sprinkled throughout the film at various points. That doesn't make it any less important, of course, it's just more of an aside, or even a thematic capstone to the whole story. It does certainly seem to be that the film's themes are shifted to the background in favor of the historical perspective, though that in itself is still interesting and worth the documentary. It's especially helped by the use of archival material, almost all of which features Zarov in some way, of course, and is used effectively to tell the story of his life through his cinematic output, which itself plays into the greater themes of preservation, not only of film, but of history, and how what survives into modernity comes to be a record of it. If that seems a bit obtuse, one explicit example of this is a staged reenactment of a revolution being repurposed as a filmed document of the event itself, which is only brought up once, but perfectly illustrates the theme. So I suppose the themes are more prevalent than I just said. It just doesn't feel that way, I suppose. That's more of a technical thing, I guess. Speaking of which, I may as well move on to the production side of things. Again, this documentary is primarily archival, the main event being the found footage, with a few newer elements here and there that elaborate upon the discovery of these reels and their examination. It's actually a bit of a departure for the director, or at least based on what I've seen from him in the past and his emphasis on the physical state of film. That is still well and present here, of course, as is better preserved footage that serves to contrast that decay. It's all screened silently as well, save for a slow and steady soundtrack that almost seems designed more for this presentation rather than the contents of the rediscovered film. For the most part, though, everything about this film's structure is pretty straightforward and more direct to the point, rather than pushing you to draw your own conclusions or interpretations. At its core, it's one part biography, one part history lesson, and one part video essay, and to that end it's extremely effective in both showcasing a relatively obscure part of film history and asking questions about the future, or more specifically, how our preservation of the past comes to depict who we are in the future. The Village Detective, a song cycle. Bill Morrison, 2021. 4 stars. I recommend giving it a watch. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I think this is the first movie from 2021 I've seen since, 2021. You know, I should probably make some letterbox lists with my rankings for movies from that year and last year. Then I won't have to name names all the time, like with my reviews for shorts. Speaking of which, it's been a while since I've seen one of those here too. I wonder what's up with that.